Arctic air is retreating, finally. And we're just going to go back to normal winter across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. Getting a little bit busier out in the West with some winter weather there because it has been sorely lacking in that part of the country. And we'll take you on an adventure for what lies ahead for the rest of the week and for the upcoming holiday weekend. So sit tight, grab some popcorn, and join us here and have some fun on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support by shopping on Amazon. We've got a referral link that's pinned to the descriptor on this podcast on YouTube. It's just a matter of getting you to Amazon to do your shopping. Amazon throws us some coin for sending you there, and it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your pocket. So we appreciate very much those of you who have done your shopping on Amazon via our referral link. And Tempest by Weatherflow, that revolutionary Tempest weather station is yours for the asking. You'll be part of the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link for this is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this podcast. And there's a special Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast coupon code, Joe Rayo.
And it is winter 2026. It's so well known now that even Rich Rothmansky on the chat board has it posted. Use it, and you can pick up anything you'd like from Tempest and get a 10% discount. And that's very good.
Yeah, I should pick up a new mouse because mine is now not. Where is mine? There we go. There we are. Oh, well, it's a nice weekend, nice restful weekend. You, on the other hand, were in the icebox, so still kind of igloo-ish uh, by you, but some moderation over the next few days. I think that's a good word,
I,
moderation.
I got to tell you something. Today it got up to 29 degrees, and compared to what we had over the weekend, I think I almost felt like dancing in the streets. It was really not all that bad. What really made it good today was the fact that the wind machine has finally turned off for a little while, and the lack of wind, bright sunshine, some high cirriform clouds in the afternoon, and a 29-degree peak. And tomorrow we should actually go above freezing, Joe, and we'll be above freezing again on Wednesday. My goodness, it's a veritable heat wave.
A lot of places have that. If we go back to that storm from a couple of weeks ago, there were a lot of places that got into sleet for a number of hours. And that's put this kind of solid layer of ice on top of the snow cover, and it's making it very, very slow to disappear.
Well, it will be disappearing, I think, a little bit with the milder temperatures coming up over the next several days. And then the question mark for the weekend is whether or not, A, we get a storm. It looks like we're going to have something of a unsettled weather pattern develop during the latter part of the holiday weekend. And B, what form is it going to take? Will it be in the form of snow? Will it be a mixed precipitation bag of snow, sleet, ice, and plain rain? Or will it be mostly rain? And these are
Or it,
questions.
or it may be mostly nothing.
That's if you would think that the storm system passes right underneath us, as the one that
And I'm kind of leaning in
missed us a
that
week ago.
direction.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We're still a week away, and not
I
even a
know.
week away. We're 6 days away. We'll see how things develop over the course of the next several days.
Yeah, I have my reasons for why I think the way I do, and we'll of course get into it. Not here. I mean, here the weather's been actually pretty reasonable. We haven't had much precip. The weekend was cold, but we warmed up, as I said. Yes, we got into the 40s yesterday. We're getting to the 50s today. And I think we're going to get into the 60s here uh, tomorrow. So, and Wednesday. I'm kind of very much looking forward to that. Able to sit on my deck without I didn't even have a jacket on. I just had my flannels here and just sat on the deck for a little while today. So it really felt very, very good indeed.
Well,
Okay.
you've just been challenged by Bobby Livingsworth, who is saying, "Why are you leaning that way for this weekend, Joe?
What's
I
up?
think that there'll be a storm."
Why am I leaning that way? Because based on what I'm looking at and what we've been experiencing and how some of these storms have evolved this winter, I'm
Plus
leaning to.
what? Plus
I mean,
about
I'm
plus
leaning.
about 45 years. Plus about 45 years of empiricism and experience.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
leaning in the direction that this is going to wind. This could wind up being something that goes off way to the well to the south, and you wind up getting nothing. Now, look, I could be wrong on this. I will put that right up front, but I'm just telling you right now, there's enough on the table for me that I'm seeing to suggest that this could wind up just going out underneath and not being a problem for the weekend. We'll see. We'll have a better idea on this, I'm sure, over the next couple of days. But in the meantime, welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board, and welcome to those of you who are lurking in the background. You know, we always have lurkers here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Some very famous lurkers, by the way. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. If you like the show, hit the like button. We are Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. That's our normal schedule. And Fridays and Saturdays are we may add shows from time to time when there's storms around. We certainly did that back a few weeks ago. Uh, it's a holiday weekend coming up, so we may make it a longer holiday weekend if there is no weather going on, in which case we will let you know. So, shall we get started?
Well, Christianpedia, by the way, on the chat board said it was absolutely insane out there today because a lot of folks were coming in with frozen pipes. And uh, I was telling you off air, Joe, that one zone of my house, we apparently have a frozen pipe issue. Um, Fortunately, it is there are the two are unoccupied, really, the two rooms that my kids had when they were living with us. But according to Christopedia, a lot of people are reporting the same problem. A lot of people are dealing with pipes that are frozen and broken. We don't have broken pipes, thank God. Knock on wood.
Yeah,
But hopefully,
imagine.
hopefully, all of these problems will become alleviated in the next few days as we go into spells of above freezing temperatures. I mean, this past weekend, case in point, I got down to the coldest temperature I've had here in 4 years yesterday morning when it got down to 3 degrees below zero. This morning, we were a full 6 degrees warmer. We were 3 degrees above
Three
zero.
above,
And
but
tonight, I don't
but
think we're
three
going to
above
get.
with but three. There's a big difference between being three above with no wind and three below with wind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Stepping outside this morning, yeah, it was cold at 3 degrees when I had to go out to walk the dog. But as you just mentioned, I mentioned at the start of the show, wind plays such an important factor. That's, I guess, why they call it the wind chill factor. Uh, with not much wind or a lack of wind, you could stay out there if it feels almost like being inside of a meat locker. But you have temperatures near zero and a 20 or 30 mile an hour wind. Forget it. I'm back inside in 5 seconds.
Oh, I know, right? It's yeah, no, it's not fun. I mean, here too. We get the days in some of these cold days. Uh, you get down and go into town, and the town is in a valley, so you get all sorts of wind there. And standing outside in the morning at 9 o'clock in the morning with the screaming 15 or 20 mile an hour wind, it is not fun by any stretch of the imagination. So, in the land of watches and warnings, not a whole lot happening. Ever since we had that storm system back a few weeks ago, we had basically half the map under a winter storm warning. It's been relatively quiet. The weekend storm wound up impacting areas in southeastern New England and parts of eastern Long Island, and into Rhode Island. But everybody else really didn't get very much from the snowfall that came through ahead of the Arctic front Friday night into Saturday morning. We're seeing some winter weather advisories in upstate New York as well as in New Hampshire, but not in Vermont for some reason. I don't know why. And western and southern Maine. In the west, in the Sierra Nevadas, because we haven't seen this that often this winter, is we have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up for those mountains. but everybody else in between is having weather that's not really causing any huge issues. There's a little bit of fog along the Gulf Coast, and we have a handful of counties in eastern Nebraska under flash flood watches up. Um, so there's that. And checking out the surface map this evening. This is at 4 p.m. The center of the high, which is weakened and the air is not as cold as it was, is sitting in eastern Lake Ontario, about to make its exit. And daytime temperatures in the 20s across Pennsylvania. You had some lower 30s, upper 20s to lower 30s in parts of New Jersey. Mostly 20s to near 30 across New England for high temperatures. Then you get down into Virginia, North Carolina, got into the 40s, got into the 50s in Kentucky, and 60s in Tennessee, and 60s except for North Georgia, but even North Georgia made it up to the upper 50s today. Mostly 60s, and down in South Georgia and into Florida in the 70s. And 70s going all the way back through the Gulf states and all the way back through Texas and into New Mexico. So there is warm air around. And then up to the north, as far as cold is concerned, it's not really all that cold. It's back up above freezing across the Great Lakes, Joe. Temperatures in Wisconsin are in the low to mid 30s. Same goes for areas in Minnesota, and even on the north side of this cold front on the Canada side, it's in the 20s. So, it seems to me that going forward, at least for the next 10 days, um, cold air masses in there, yeah, there'll be some cold air coming down. But I think this Arctic train that we've been on for quite a while now is has pulled into the station and is now being hauled out for repairs because there's not really a whole lot of Arctic air left.
And you might say that the supply now needs to be replenished. We may have one more, in fact, I know we're probably going to have one more shot of exceedingly cold weather. Maybe not as cold as what we just went through, but the way things have been going so far this winter season, that it'll just be a matter of time before the cold air up in the northern parts of Canada build up just enough so that we have another outbreak of very cold weather, if not by the end of the month, perhaps holding off until March. And, we have seen in some years March provide us with really very wintry conditions, both in terms of snow and especially in terms of cold.
By the way, at Iceland MacArthur Airport, I saw some stats there. They have not gone. They still have not gone above 32. Uh, I think it's like at 14 days or 15 days. But at least as of certainly even and adding in yesterday and today, right now, and I grant you that their record base really isn't all that big. It goes back to I believe the late 1940s. They're having their fourth coldest winter on record, and I'm sure in some of these places that have you know limited data sets, that this winter so far, uh, well, at least from how you measure it, it's only got 20 days. You got 19 days left uh, for meteorological winter, but right now on I'm sure there are other stations that where this winter so far is in the top five of top five coldest. I don't think for New York City it is, um, but there you have it.
Well, but still, the thing is that while this may not be among the top five or even the top 10 here in the New York metropolitan area, this has been a very formidable winter season so far. Certainly the coldest we've had here in 11 years. And this string of days that we've just gone through, however short lived it may be, was about as intense a cold as we have seen in, again, quite a few years here in the New York metropolitan area.
Not a whole lot going on the radar in the southern half of the U.S., but there's a parade of little disturbances in the north, from Montana all the way up into northern New York. And this some of the warmer air that's coming in is getting reflected here on the radar. You're seeing actually some stuff showing up aloft, uh, but it's minimal stuff. You go up into northern New York, there's some stuff that's actually reaching the ground, some snow, as well as in parts of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and into northern Wisconsin and back through Minnesota and the Dakotas. But as I said, the southern half of the U.S. very, very quiet. There's actually a few rain showers in southeast in southern Georgia, moving into northern Florida there, and we've got some showery rains in the Pacific Northwest. And really, that's about it. No shower or thunderstorm activity or severe weather at the moment. WPC, as of late their afternoon forecast to take us through next Monday night, believes that there's going to be something over the weekend because they've got an inch and a half of plus of liquid being indicated. In fact, they have an area of 2 inches of liquid over eastern half of Long Island and into Connecticut. So there you go. That goes all the way down through the southeast, all the way west back through Oklahoma to northeast Texas, and across from Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. There are areas of 2.5 to as much as 3 inches of precipitation, and here it will be rain. In the west, we have quite a bit of rain into California along the coast, up and down the coast of 2 to 3 inches, going all the way down to Los Angeles. And in the Sierra Nevadas, we're looking at several to, in some cases, indicating more than just several inches of melted precip. And this may wind up being all snow, with the pattern turning a little colder in the west. And also see not much though, half inch to an inch or so across western Oregon, western Washington. The northern plains dry, the northern lakes mostly dry, but at least according to WPC, from when they looked at overnight and this morning, indicating that they may go with the models that want to bring a storm up into the Northeast. Now, here's my reasoning behind all of this. And again, I could very well, turn out to be wrong, but this is just sort of leaning in this direction. Is that at least so far, every time we've had a situation where the models have tried to show something phasing or somewhat phasing and coming up the eastern seaboard in one form or another, winds up not happening. Okay, and that overrunning case that we had a couple of weeks ago was a totally different setup than this one and the ones that we had over the weekend. So here's what I'm thinking. So here's the upper air, and you'll notice that there's a little closed low there up near Lake Superior that's going to push through a cold front here sometime Tuesday night or on Wednesday, early Wednesday, and then that goes by. And this is probably going to bring in a little reinforcement of colder air for Thursday and Friday. Um,
But
I
nothing like
no,
what we
no,
just went through.
absolutely nothing like what you had. But I think that you could certainly wind up where Thursday. I have to go back and look at temperatures for Friday. Where Thursday you're struggling to get out of the 20s in some places. But that's a far cry from struggling to get out of the teens. And then that's going to pull out. Now, there's energy coming into the west. And you can see there's an upper low that's moving into California. That's going to get kicked along and kicked eastward. All right, I buy that. In the meantime, there's something else coming down into New England on Friday into Saturday. And then that swings offshore, and the whole trough starts to pull out. Now, here comes that southern system. The European is got some kind of breakaway shortwave in Canada that moves into the Great Lakes, phases with this southern system, and lifts it up and cuts it off over southeastern New England come next Monday. Okay, I'm not saying that can't happen, but I'm just skeptical because we've been in this position in the long range beyond 120 hours a number of times this winter where models were trying to do something similar to this, and it winds up that there is no phasing. And in fact, when you look at the European AI, okay, just as a comparison, the European AI does not have a shortwave coming down in the flow. It has a northwest flow from Lake Winnipeg all the way through New England and off the mid-Atlantic coast. It's northwest winds in the upper atmosphere. There is no shortwave that's there that's going to try to phase with this southern thing, and it gets squashed underneath. All right. Let's look at the GFS AI. Same idea. Okay, same idea. Mostly western northwest flow, no northern shortwave. Southern shortwave just gets kicked along to the east and out and goodbye. Now, there are some models that are going in a slightly different direction. If we look at the GFS, regular GFS, it has, even here, it's got a northwest flow. The southern shortwave is going out, and for some reason, it's got this sort of diffuse area of precip that reaches up the coast to a certain extent before it gets pushed out to the east. I am the European, the operational, quote unquote, operational run, which it really isn't anymore. It's one of the ensemble members. Uh, I mean, would suggest to me that that phasing idea is is a at best a long shot, and at worst a far fetched idea. We could look at the ensembles, okay, and the ensembles, really, okay. I mean, it really doesn't. I'm not seeing it, Joe. I'm not. I think there's a chance we could wind up with little or nothing over the weekend.
Well, we had a big storm that was promoted for many, many days, not this weekend, but the weekend prior. And what happened to that? The storm system passed off to the south. We saw nothing. And folks down in the Carolinas got 1 to 2 feet of snow. So,
Right.
not saying that that's going to happen again, but, sometimes when you look ahead 4, 5, 6, 7 days and you say, oh, there it is, there's a possibility of a big storm, it doesn't work out that way. We'll see.
So if you look, by the way, if you look at the ensembles in terms of accumulated precip, this is 24-hour precip here. I mean, it brings up about 2 or 3, 3 or 4 tenths of liquid up to southern New England. So I guess some of the members are trying to bring it up, but the vast majority of the heavy stuff goes way to the south. Okay, and it goes completely against what the European has, which is to bring, now this is the 144 on the 18Z, but if we go back to the 12Z on the European, I mean, it brought 2+ inches of liquid in upstate New York where it would be cold enough and all snow, and then running up into New England. The European ensemble has, a little more bullish. It does bring about a half an inch of liquid, almost 3/4 of an inch of liquid up the coast. But again, I've been led down this road a few times with some of the long range stuff, and I'm just thinking, why is this going to be any different than any of the other systems that and how they've evolved this winter? I just don't see how it's going to be.
Well, you go with the hot hand, so to speak, and the hot hand, or the hand that we've seen more often than not, has storm systems taking tracks just off to our south and taking most of the lion's share of associated precipitation with it. So, at this point in time, this far out, why not go with the hot hand? And that's what Joe's going with right now.
Bobby Livingsworth, snow breeds snow. I get that. And it does. I mean, when you have a snowy winter, it just finds a way to do it. Okay. It's just that this particular setup is so similar to all the setups where systems have passed by to the south and east. And in all those cases, the models early on would try to bring a major storm up the East Coast, all the way up, and bring snow all the way up and mega amounts all the way up. And none of those have happened. Okay. Again, we need to exclude the one system we had back in late January, because that was a totally different setup. That was an overrunning setup of of moist air, warmer air over very cold Arctic air that was locked in across the Northeast and into the Mid Atlantic states. This is not that. Okay, so here we go. I mean, we're going to get this cold front and probably some snow tomorrow in upstate New York, maybe as far south as reaching down into Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont. You see here the GFS is showing that all the models do. Cold front goes by. probably doesn't, Wednesday I thought that it would be, Wednesday I thought would be the warmest day this week, Joe, where it could mean we could reach many areas mid to upper 30s, and maybe South Jersey and southern Pennsylvania southward could reach into the 40s for a short time. And then we get colder again Thursday and Friday. It's also going to get breezy, not going to get crazy windy, but it's going to get breezy come Wednesday afternoon into Thursday and into Friday. And then here's our storm system. Now, what's coming into California, nice little piece of energy there, runs east and redevelops in Texas. And we could get a severe weather outbreak perhaps on Saturday in parts of Texas and Arkansas and Louisiana. We'll have to see how this plays. But again, without having something in the northern stream to phase this and energize it to lift it up the seaboard, the southern stream just kind of gets, pushed eastward. A very diffuse looking system. So, I mean, if this winds up being right, there might be a little snow on the front end and then some rain and then gone. I mean, this would be for next Monday. So, like I said, I'm not too enthused. And I don't, going down the road, the pattern right now looks to be rather variable. You know, not not terribly cold, but not terribly warm either. Some kind of cold front, maybe around the 20th with a low to the lakes, if that's real, and then there's some colder air behind that. I think we're in this place, Joe, that over the next couple of weeks, with the pattern being somewhat variable, that whatever we get into is not going to have a whole lot of staying power. And there's no real Arctic air to speak of for at least the next 10 days. I mean, beyond that, models are going to try to show something and it might be there, it might not. But, that Arctic, one after another of brutally cold air, I think for the most part, uh, it's done. Well, as we said earlier, maybe it could possibly make a brief appearance again. But whatever, if it did, it would be just, would come in and go out.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to have one more shot of very cold weather. It may come late in the month, or it may hold off until March. We will have to wait and see. Incidentally, this is today is February the 9th, and we have not one but two rather auspicious weather anniversaries for New York City to talk about. The first occurred 57. Well, I tell you, Joe, I only need to say 57 years ago because it seems to me like it was only like 10 years ago. You and I both lived through this. 57 years ago, New York City was hit by a snowstorm. The storm killed 42 people. Half of them were in Queens. 288 others were injured. And this particular storm prompted a political crisis that became legendary in the annals of municipal politics and nearly brought down the administration of Mayor John V. Lindsay. Those of you who remember, he was elected in 1965. He took over from Mayor Wagner and stayed mayor in New York now for not one but two terms. The second term, however, was put in jeopardy by this big storm. 15 inches of snow fell on Sunday, February the 9th, 1959, and that defied projections by the folks over at then the U.S. Weather Bureau, of course, now the National Weather Service, which had forecast a change to rain by the afternoon. And this wasn't good. The city's Environmental Protection Administrator was upstate and could not be reached. And nearly 40% of the city's snow plows were defective because of poor maintenance. And both of these factors were hampering the response by New York City. For 3 days, the city was in a state of near paralysis. Not until Wednesday, the following Wednesday, the 12th of February, did schools, streets, and subways and airports and other infrastructure slowly, and I want to underscore that word, slowly began to reopen and return to normal. Mayor Lindsay, in the aftermath of this big storm, went to Queens, which was almost forgotten. The running joke was, well, it wasn't a joke at that time, but of the 5 boroughs in New York, Queens seemed to have no snowplow activity whatsoever. nobody was able to move in Queens. And so Mayor Lindsay, hearing about this, decided he'd travel to Queens. But as you would expect, his visit was not very well received. He came to Queens, Joe, in a
You ought to be
limousine.
ashamed of yourself.
He came in a limousine. He couldn't make his way through Rego Park, so then he switched off to a four-wheel drive truck. Still had trouble getting around. And in Kew Gardens, the mayor was booed. In fact, one woman screamed at the top of her lungs, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And in another part of Queens Fresh Meadow, a woman told the mayor, "Get away, you bum." So, I mean, that was what happened to Mayor. And everybody said Mayor Lindsay, no, there's no way in the world he's going to be reelected. But somehow or other he was. I think he wrote on the back of the New York Mets drive to the pennant and World Series. He was seen in the Met clubhouse pouring champagne on Tom Seaver and Ron Swoboda and declaring that there was going to be a big parade down the Canyon of Heroes on Broadway. And I think that helped him win the electorate. Otherwise, if it weren't for the Mets, I think he never would have won a second term. But that was only the first of two famous weather anniversaries on this day. Another auspicious anniversary. Now, for those of you who were saying to yourself, boy, it was cold this past weekend. Oh, it was freezing. If you thought it was cold this past weekend, on this day, 92 years ago, the temperature at Central Park dropped to 15 degrees below zero, the coldest temperature ever recorded in New York City. And with a breeze of 10 to 15 miles an hour in the morning, the wind chill was somewhere between 35 and 40 below zero. 10 degrees below zero or colder in New York for 8 consecutive hours. And it was zero or colder for 16 consecutive hours, beginning at 9 p.m. the previous night. By 5 p.m., the temperature had recovered to 8 above, and the reading that was set 92 years ago in 1934 broke the previous all time low record of minus 13 set on December 30th, 1917.
And
So we
and
had
three
we had a
days and 3 days and 3 days later, it warmed up and rained.
would you believe?
It
Yes.
warmed up and rained.
Incredible. So
I
two
I
special
would
events
just
on this
go ahead.
day: the big snow and the big freeze.
I would just say this with respect to that if that happens. I mean, I hope, but I don't hope. But just to see the media frenzy that would ensue in the days before temperatures were to get that low. Can you imagine what you would be seeing on social media, on television, uh, if that were to happen again?
I can't even imagine it.
Really, it would be,
And
again, I'm not, look, whether I hope it happens, it's not like I'm going to cast a spell. I'm not Endora. Okay. I can't just, come up with an incantation and make it happen. All right. So whether I hope it happens or doesn't hope it happens, my saying it has no impact on this. I'm just pointing out that in the way things are done in the media world today, it, the poo-poo show that would ensue would be something of the ages, right?
I I would agree 100%. I
Oh
would
my God,
agree.
it would be. I mean, can you visualize it? It would start days before, at least a week before, maybe even longer. Okay, some model will pick it up. Some model will show like minus 25 over New York City because they're always too cold. So it'll only be wind up being minus 15. Um, and then it just would just build. And then they would have live shots all over the place of people freezing in place, you know, just literally freezing in place.
It would be it
Oh,
would be it would be Some of the stations probably would be on wall to wall live coverage through the entire. And the thing to see with that, Joe, would be that they would be sending their reporters out in the middle of that
And
frigidity.
they would all have like portable thermometers in their hands or something.
And I know what it's like. I mean, and I'm sure you did the same thing. News 12 Westchester was one night when the executive producer said, "I have an idea. We're going to put you outside for the 10 o'clock." And I said, "Really? Why?" And he said, "I want to see your face freeze." And my cameraman Paul Simone and I stood outside. Now we didn't go out in the to some street in Yonkers or some town to do this. We were just outside, the studio here. We did. I mean, I could step back inside and get warmed up, but I got to tell you, Joe, I forgot what the actual ambient air temperature was, but we had like a 30 to 40 mile an hour wind. I'm standing out there. The chill factor must have been at least 20 or 25 below zero. And here I am standing there, saying, "Hey, it's cold." What are you going to say? What are you going to do? I mean, like, it's we're outside telling people don't go outside because it's freezing and it's dangerous and it's deadly. And what do? They send their reporters and anchors outside in the frigidity. It never made any sense to me.
No, I know. Nothing they ever did ever actually ever made any sense. Do you have Briller Jeopardy tonight?
Do I have Vriller
And
Jeopardy?
by the way, how many
Well,
likes do we have?
according to my counter, we have 77, but
Oh, really nice. Thank you
so
for you hitting the like button. If you really like the show, hit the like button if you haven't already, because we love it when we go over 100 likes. It makes us feel better. It makes us feel that our lives are worth living for another day.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
so
Well, so here we are on Briller Jeopardy. Uh, this is the night when we're going to finish the category of average snowfall in February. The average snowfall in February now for the following cities. We start with St. Louis.
average snowfall for St. Louis
Yes,
in February,
yes.
6.
I'm hearing a strange sound.
I hear it
Oh,
too.
I don't know what that is. It might be
Uh,
something happening upstairs. I don't know. Two, what did you say? Two?
6.
Six. You said six. Good guess, not the right guess. You're a little
Okay.
on the little on the high side.
Anybody have it right?
I'm looking. I'm checking. Yes, at SS Heat 17. No, excuse me. That he predicted. He said six, like you. No. At SO Mac 4. SO Mac 4 is the correct answer. Marky
4.
D also with 4.
And Carol
Yes.
DeChiara had 4. And Mike Waterhouse Banzai had 4. And Billy Uber had 4.
Yes.
And so there you go. Okay, next.
A place that is very, very happy tonight, and they'll be even happier when they have their big parade on Wednesday to celebrate the clinching of Super Bowl 60, Seattle.
It's either 1 or 2. So my heart says 2. My brain says 1. So I'll say 1.
You should have went with your heart.
Oh, okay. So the
Two.
so the twos have it.
Jimmy Z and J, two. And let's see, Frank Scalera with two, and Mr. TRW's with two, and Northern Grace with two. And whatever that noise was, it stopped. So I don't know. Maybe it was the washing machine or the dishwasher. I don't know. Anyway, next one is Rochester, not Minnesota, but New York.
Rochester, New York in February 21.
Hold on for a second. I want to get a update here on the likes, and we did hit over 100 again. That's pretty darn good. 105. Thank you so much. I've noticed, Joe, with my counter, I don't know if it does with everybody else's, but with my counter, it won't start counting on its own until we hit 200. When we get to 200, then the counter works for likes
Oh,
on
really?
my system. But anything under 200, I have to keep continuously updating. What did you say for Rochester?
I said 21.
21. Very good guess. Not quite enough. Miss Spallerite, you're in Snake Country with 24, as is the case with William Huber with 24. But Mr. TRW's got it with 23.
Yeah,
23
23
inches.
was in my mind about Rochester because I think I saw it somewhere and I should have went with that.
Well, how about Salt Lake City?
Uh, yeah, February is a weird month out west because that's usually a down month for them. And I'm also not always overly familiar, so I'll say 15.
Uh, Considering you're not overly familiar, 15 is not a bad guess. It's a little bit too much, but it was close. But Rich Watmansky got it. Rich Watmansky with 11. Same with Christopedia, 11. And oh, look who's on the chat board, Joe. DT,
Yeah,
11
I know I
inches.
did see him before.
Yes. So there you go. And how about the nation's capital?
Washington,
Washington, Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia.
I'll say, well, okay, there's always a difference between Nashville and Dulles, and February's probably their snowiest month. 4.
Eh, Close. S0 Mac got it with 5. So there you go there. And let's see who else got 5. Uh, Robert Lumnicki 5, and Frank Scalera 5, and William Huber 5. So there you go. We have one bonus location tonight, and that is where they sometimes launch sounding rockets to investigate the upper layers of the Earth's atmosphere. Wallops Island.
Oh, Jesus. Um, I always kid about Wallops Island only because of the fact that it was always a station that whenever we had a situation, snow to rain situation, that was sort of my go-to station. If it was still snowing at Wallops Island, you knew you had plenty of time before you had to worry about any changeover. It actually worked rather well back in the late January storm. So I'm going to say Wallops Island for February 2.
And you got it. Going to give you a bell ring for that, Joe. And the same for Rich Rotmansky. He also has 2. And Miss Ballerite wants to know where the heck is that? If Miss Ballerite, if you know the Delmarva Peninsula, near the tip or the southern end of the Delmarva is where Wallops Island is. They're in the state of Virginia.
Yep. Sits out there in the middle of the water. So you can always tell if they're still snowing there and the snow is coming up toward, New York City and southern New England and the Hudson Valley. The longer it snows, it takes to change over to rain at Wallops Island tells you that you got plenty of cold air. So you got a good 7 or 8 hours before it changes over in places further north. So
Sounds
that's
like it sounds like the Ellen Casper rule for Atlantic
yeah, it was
City.
what 6 hours for Atlantic City. I think it's 8 hours for Wallops Island. It's the
Yeah.
8 hour Pittsburgh rule. From Pittsburgh, if something's in Pittsburgh, it gets to New York in 8 hours. Depending on how fast it's going. But if you take an average speed, that's kind of that kind of works. Um, you know,
I can't, and by the way, I can't answer for Joe, for the other Joe here, but um, Ruben is asking, wow, he posts so many of these messages, and how come they don't answer my question? How come they're not listening to me or whatever? And Christopedia says they don't always see your messages, Ruben. They go by fast in a tiny screen. Christopedia, I see Ruben, every single message Ruben posts. It's just that I just ignore them.
yeah. I answered his question. He wanted to know, first of all, what channel should he be watching so that he could, understand when we make these old show references. And I said, well, you might as well start with, Me TV. And he said that Hogan's Heroes is on right now. Would he watch that? And I said, God, why not? Watch Hogan's Heroes.
Can't be on Me TV. Me TV doesn't show Hogan's Heroes until 10.
Oh, he just said that it was on right now.
Well, maybe on another network,
Oh,
but on Me TV, it's on at 10 o'clock. So
oh, at 10 o'clock?
yes.
Okay. Oh, maybe he's on Antenna Network, the Antenna channel. Is that still around?
Oh yeah, they're still
Antenna
around.
TV? Well, there's a
They show
whole
a lot
bunch
of.
of them you could go on. You could go on, what is it, Fubu and Fubo or a few others. There's so many of those.
I learned that we have a smart TV and we have Roku, and I just learned
Okay.
there's a Dick Van Dyke channel, Joe.
Oh
You could
yeah,
watch.
no, there's a whole bunch of, I get up on my direct TV stream. There's a whole bunch of channels where it's just one show. There are two Prices Right channels.
Isn't
One
that
with Bob,
amazing?
one with all the Bob Barker episodes. Because there's like, I don't know, 11,000. I think there's like 11,000 or 12,000 Prices Right episodes because it goes back
Yeah,
to the early 70s and it's still on. So there's one with all Bob Parker and there's another one with all Drew Carey. So yeah, there's a whole slew of different shows. There's the Bob Ross channel,
I'm well aware of the
which
Bob
is
Ross
just
channel. Yeah,
nonstop Bob Ross. I mean, you would basically sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if you find the Bob Ross channel on your on your TV
there are there
guide
are
thing.
400 Bob Ross episodes. Each one of them is a half hour long, so 200 hours. Let's see, 10 days is 240 hours. You could watch the Bob Ross channel for like 8 days straight without seeing a single episode rerun. So that's pretty amazing.
Yep. All right. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow night to see if I'm going to be correct about this thing not coming up the East Coast, or incorrect. If I'm incorrect, I will admit that I'm wrong. If I'm correct, I will decide what the penalty is for everybody else. You must pay the penalty. And what latitude and longitude was the wreck of the Hesperus? Nope. Anyway, that's another one for you, Ruben. Try to figure out where that came from. You may be at. Oh, I meant to tell you, Joe Rayo. Do you get
Yes,
do you get Turner Classic Movies on
yes, we do.
Okay, they started doing this a couple of weeks ago. At night at 8 o'clock, starting at 8 o'clock, before they do the movie, they do a 30-minute Bugs Bunny. They run Bugs Bunny cartoons for 30 minutes, ahead of the movie. And then they do it again before the next movie to replicate what used to be in, and I mean, I don't
Right,
think it's, I
with
think they
theaters.
feature, I think, I haven't watched it. I'm not, in fact, I've already missed it. We've already missed it. But I'm get what they do is they highlight one cartoon and I think they go into how the cartoon was created and all the all the back work behind it, which is really interesting stuff. If you're a TV buff or a cartoon buff, you gotta love something like that. So that's on Turner. So I missed the 8 o'clock Bugs Bunny, so then they'll run the movie. So there'll probably be another Bugs Bunny at like 10 o'clock.
I love the ones when they have some of the movie stars of the day
Oh, those are
appear.
hilarious.
That's especially one where Humphrey
Baby
Bogart
wants
asked,
Baby
yeah,
wants fried rabbit.
I'm,
Wants rabbit.
I'm
One
sorry,
lemon
baby.
meringue pie. Roger, pick up pie. Your pie, sir. One coconut custard pie with whipped cream.
One coconut custard pie with whipped cream coming up. Pick up
Exactly.
pie.
Roger, your pie, sir.
And then Bogart comes up to Elmer Fudd, grabs him
Why
by the
did you
nape of the
hit me
neck.
with a coconut custard pie with whipped cream?
Cream. All
Oh,
right.
so funny. All
We
right.
will
Anyway,
see you all
we'll
tomorrow.
we'll see you all tomorrow. Yes, indeed. 7:35 is the usual shopping time, and have a great night. Bye bye.
First base, Bugs Bunny. Second base, Bugs Bunny. Third base, Bugs Bunny. Shortstop, Bugs Bunny. Left field, Bugs Bunny.
Right, exactly.
Good night, folks.
Against the Gas House Gorillas.